Jackie the Joke Man Martling was on Superfan Roundtable. Wow. I heard his interview. Mutt did a great interview with Jackie, and Jackie was just, again, talking about his contract negotiation and why he isn't with the show. And
this is hysterical.
I mean, look, they were asking him about it.
Yeah, but I mean...
But it's all it's so misguided.
Why would he even continue to talk about it?
See, if I play it, you're going to get all worked up, as I did when I heard it, but... Because you're going to start arguing with a piece of tape.
Well, work me up.
All right.
I love Jackie Logic.
All right, but, okay. I'll stop it when I need to correct something.
All right.
Or at least give my interpretation. You want to get worked up?
I know it's going to happen. I always think that I'm over it. But he'll get to me, I'm sure.
But you know what the funny thing is? We are over it. I don't spend any time in the day going,
thinking about it.
Jackie was back here, but you know what? It actually made me sad when I heard this because he's his own worst enemy. Because he still, to this day, doesn't understand what he did.
Thank God.
For his own career.
And thank God we don't take him back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because this would go on again.
It would. Robin... It's been 10 or 15 years, hasn't learned a thing. It's so clear
to me. That's the beauty of Jackie.
He hasn't. I don't know if he's in therapy. I don't know what he does, but he has not figured it out. And that's my point. People don't change.
Well, some people do, but not Jackie.
Okay, fair enough. Here we go.
Well, Howard would say that you just didn't show up one day and left him hanging, and then you didn't have you.
By the way. Just so Mutt knows, I would never say that.
But for months.
But every time that I was out negotiating.
Out negotiating.
You know, I said to Gary when I heard this, I called him up. I said, how is it that me, Robin, Fred, you, how is it we managed?
We all had to negotiate.
We all had to negotiate, whether it was with Mel directly or, through Don
or Tom or whatever.
But how is it we all ended up never missing a day of work, even with our negotiations, quote unquote? Jackie always had to leave.
Yeah.
Sometimes for weeks. And to me, it always felt like, hey, I can walk away, you guys carry on, and when I'm done negotiating, just how did we all manage to get a contract without walking out the door?
But by the same token, it wasn't that he left us hanging.
Yeah.
It was that we didn't know he wasn't showing up.
Mutt said we'd get all worked up again when we heard this. He knows. He listens.
They did the same thing. And I've said this on the air many millions of times. Nobody wants to hear it. I didn't do that. I would never have done that. For all anybody can break my balls, I'm a professional guy. We were trying to negotiate. Then my lawyer didn't hear back from Tom for 2 months. So we had a meeting with Tom, and we went in, and my lawyer said, listen.
First of all, they didn't hear back from Tom for 2 months, because I was very aware of what was going on. He said, Jackie and your lawyer, this is the final offer. And it was a very, very healthy offer. More than I think most guys in radio would drop dead if they saw this offer. And they said, Jackie, this is it. Either you take it or leave it. We can't keep going on. Or we have to move forward and find somebody new.
Now, I don't understand. Is he still working or is he not working?
He's not working.
Okay.
He's negotiating. So they told him that, and Jackie and his lawyer kind of laughed it off like, ha, 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 sure.
Okay, and did they make some counteroffer?
No. 2 months later, 2 months later, it was over. In other words, Jackie was like, okay, I'll come back. And it was like, no, you don't understand. We meant it.
2 months to think about it.
Yeah, 2 months.
It's over.
We're totally at loggerheads. You guys aren't coming back at us. We're not going back. So this was on a Wednesday, so Jackie's not going to come in on Monday. And Tom said, I think you're making a mistake. And Larry said, I think you're making a mistake.
Yep, who was right?
But he's not going to be there Monday. And I said, Tom.
Where's Larry now?
Now, you make sure you tell Howard, make sure everybody knows.
But Howard says you didn't call him.
No, by the way, if I did say that, I don't care about
No. This is all getting confused.
Yeah.
Jackie did this every year for a number of years and never told us he was not coming in.
Right.
This last time, maybe he had a lawyer who called.
Right.
That's what he's upset about. By
the way, I'm not upset about it. I'm not upset about any of this. Jackie leaving has been absolutely fine. I'm much happier now. I couldn't take the constant problems and the constant out back in the back office getting everyone charged up.
And all of a sudden he's professional.
Right. Oh, he's the most official.
You missed that one phone call.
What?
You told Tom,
this is they got you coming and they got you going. Howard he said over and over and over, I want nothing to do with negotiations. I don't want to know money. I don't want to know negotiations. It's all up to everybody to do their own deal. Leave me out of it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I should call him and say, hey, not for nothing.
Meanwhile, every deal he did, he called me. And I had to step in and carry on. And he always tried to get me to agent for him. He's full of shit.
Would it be
as much as I wanted not to be involved with Jackie?
He always involved.
He sucked me in every time.
Not a threatening phone call or a heads up. Tom said,
Jackie won't admit one thing. He left the show thinking Howard's going to fucking crumble without me.
Right, and he was waiting for 2 months for you to call and ask him to come back.
Right, and it was never going to happen. Jackie was an asset to the show. I had assessed the situation.
He was an acid to the show?
An asset. No, he was an asset to the show, but at some point it became detrimental to the show. And that's it. He overvalued himself. That's all. He was valuable, but not irreplaceable. That's the problem with Jackie.
Howard will absolutely know you're not going to be there. And then, they said that all of a sudden Howard says, where's Jackie today? And Rob said, oh, he left you high and dry again. Yeah, you know how he is. They made it sound like I just didn't show up, and I would never do that much, and I didn't do it the time before, and I didn't do it the time. And there's still millions of fans that are angry at me for leaving Howard high and dry, which I didn't do. And of course I thought about
tell it. When even just recently, about a year ago, Robin and Fred get real emotional about it. Like, you fucked over the show. You left the show. You guys were a team. They take it personally, it seems like.
But how can they? I asked for more money and they said no.
I don't take it personally.
You're working at a business and you ask for a raise and they say no and you stop working there. It's not because you don't.
Explain that.
I don't take it personally.
Nobody does. It's just amazing to us that he's the only one that could leave for months at a time.
And then come back. Why come back?
Right. We were resentful that we had to sit there and hold shit. Don't forget, I have a way of operating. The budget that Jackie took up, I needed to spend it on someone else. At some point, I had to say, enough with this guy.
But remember the time he didn't show up, and then we were starting to get used to not work, and then all of a sudden he did show up?
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing here now?
Yeah, now he's here.
You want us now?
I was never ungrateful. I didn't ask for more. You know the whole story.
Sure.
I didn't ask for a crazy amount of money. And then after a couple of months, I said, you know what? I don't want this to break up. I'll take what the offer was. And it was too late.
It was 2 months later. And 2 months of him finally realizing he wasn't getting more money. He got a huge offer, huge raise offer, which he doesn't think is huge, but go ask any guy on radio. By the way, has Jackie made anywhere near that kind of money since he left? No. I would love to compare his last year with us and all the years subsequent to that. Or whatever. All the years after that.
Subsequent would be.
Was that right? It didn't sound right to me. Anyway, so I don't know. You want to hear more?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me go through the whole thing.
All right. Here we go.
And that's my fault, but that was only 2 months after I left. So
only 2 months.
Yeah, only 2 months.
What's 2 months?
He could have very easily. Now I'll get in trouble for this, but kept the Beatles together, But
the Beatles are together, dude.
And all. At the time I was beat and I was tired, and I feel bad that I wound up off the show, but it was like. I rolled the dice. What the fuck? I rolled the dice. But all I did was ask for more money. They said no, and I left. That is not a crime.
No one thinks it is.
The coming back was the crime.
Yeah. Leave us alone. Stop using us. Go write for someone else if you can.
Right.
You talk about hurt. When I called Howard and Tom, and my lawyer called Tom.
His lawyer. That lawyer was the greatest. Lawyer was like, we're going to teach Mel Karmazin how to negotiate. He was like, what? What are you doing?
Are they still teaching him, or is the lesson finished?
So which Beatle exactly was Jackie supposed to be? Because to me, he's feeling like Pete Best right now.
Yeah.
You know? I think he thought he was...
or the guy who died.
Yeah, I think he thought he was Paul McCartney.
2 months when I had been off, and said, listen, we'll take the offer that's on the table. I said, all right, we'll consider it.
Maybe he should have looked at it not as the Beatles, where everyone was sort of equal. Maybe he should have looked at it more like...
well, he was like...
Saturday Night Live, where a bunch of people write.
What was one of those guys who joined the Rolling Stone and then would leave the Rolling Stones?
Yeah.
Because the Rolling Stones were the Rolling Stones, and then every once in a while they'd hire some guy.
Right. Yeah, like when you're saying when Brian Jones died in the pool.
Yeah.
They brought in a different guy.
Yeah, Mick Taylor.
Yeah, Mick Taylor. And then Mick Taylor left, and
they brought in Ron Wood.
Right.
Get back to you. I really thought they'd at least call back and say, thanks, but no thanks. And
how many? They called 900 times. It was over.
No, they had a period of negotiation. The period ended. Jackie left, and that was that.
Yeah, how long can it go on? How long can you negotiate? What is this? What is he, a labor union?
They never.
You're waiting for the call still?
Which is kind of rude. You know, I mean, maybe I didn't deserve it, but, you know, who knows?
Oh, wait. There were 20 million calls exchanged, and then finally it was just, all right.
That you didn't listen when they said, this is it. It's not their fault.
It's real simple. Tom came to me and said, I've told Jackie that's it. He goes, do you agree? I go, absolutely. He told me the offer. I said, it sounds fantastic. Sounds like you're being very generous. You're certainly not cheaping out on the guy. I think he thinks he's me. And, you know, I'm the star of the show. He's a writer on the show. And that's it. And Tom said to me, this is the final offer. We're not prepared to offer him anymore. If you want to pay him, go ahead. I goes, no, this is more than enough. He's making a ton of dough. And that's it. We can't negotiate. We're going to go start looking for someone else.
And nobody wanted to go through this again.
No, that was the point. But he doesn't get it. He still thinks no one called him back. They told him final offer, but he was used to like, oh, they've said that before.
Right.
You know.
When I first started the show, Howard said, hey, I got great news for you.
Oh, this is great.
Oh, boy. Here we go. What is he going to say now?
This is totally
a new
wrong.
wrinkle.
This is Jackie talking about how we are all represented by Don Buchwald, but he wasn't. Right. I'll give you the truth about what really went down, but here's Jackie's version.
Hey, Gary, I want to back you up on this one, because this one made me really...
Yeah, this is crazy.
This got you upset.
Yeah, this got me nuts.
It's got nothing to do with me. I just happened to be there for a conversation Howard had.
When I first started the show, Howard said, hey, I got great news for you. Don's going to represent you if you want him.
I never said to him, I've got great news for you. Here's the truth, then you can listen to this. Jackie was being represented by his wife. Things were going horribly. Mel wanted nothing to do with Jackie. He said to me, I don't want anything to do with this guy and his wife.
He was supposed to talk to his wife?
That's how bad things were.
Uh-huh. And he was talking to his wife.
I don't know who he was talking to,
but
I don't know. Things were just going wrong, and the company was getting rubbed the wrong way by Jackie.
Uh-huh.
You know, even when people want more money, I guess there's a certain way of doing things. I suggested to Jackie maybe not use his wife as an agent. And he said, no, my wife's not my agent, my manager. I said, look, you got to get somebody. If you would like, I'll call Don Buchwald. If you'd like that. I never said, hey, good news.
Right.
No, I didn't care who represented Jackie. As long as he got somebody
who wouldn't screw up things for him.
Who wouldn't make management go, we want this guy out. Like, they were like, listen.
Because there was a general attitude from that negotiation on
they didn't
that
like
nobody wanted Jackie around.
Yeah. And I'm not even blaming his wife, Nancy, because you know what? Now that
She's
I think
not
about
a manager.
No, by the way, I don't think she was talking to Mel.
She wasn't.
She wasn't. What was happening was, if I remember correctly, and I forget how it happened, but maybe Jackie and Mel were dealing directly with each other, but Mel was kind of like, and Tom and everyone, not just Mel, everyone. Just came to me privately and said, look, we don't like this guy.
Right.
We think he's bad news. I said, he's a nice guy. They go, for whatever reason, he's coming off horribly. Just as a human being. I said, okay. So I went to Jackie and said, maybe it shouldn't be you doing things.
Right.
Maybe you should get somebody. I said, if you want, I'll call Don Buchwald. I need to. Good news, Jackie. By the way, Don was not looking to represent Jackie. Don's business is done just fine without Jackie. There's not a whole lot of money in the Jackie business for Don.
There really is, by the way, in any negotiation, when the person goes in to represent themselves, it just never works because you need somebody to be a buffer.
Right.
Because you can't say, well, when you say, listen, this is what I'm worth, people look at you a different way. So you just suggested to Jackie, in general, maybe it's not the best idea you represent yourself.
That's what it was. It wasn't his wife.
Well, she was representing him in the comedy circuit.
Right, which was fine. And I didn't care, but I just said to him, maybe you need to get advice from a professional.
But I know you said, get anybody if you'd like, because I was there. If you'd like, I would introduce you to Don.
You were there in the room.
And introduce me, not I can get Don to represent.
Good news.
No, but Jackie's saying that Howard said, good news, Don's going to represent you. As if you were pushing it. Yeah. And Jackie always had this
conspiracy
theory of collusion.
Yeah, here you go. Listen to this.
And I said no, because it didn't make sense to me that if they're going to pay Howard, and then they're going to pay Robin, and they're going to pay Fred, so I'm going to be the fourth bird in line for a worm. It seems like, how could you know...
You see, that I
didn't seem
comfortable. The way you did it, I look at you as fourth bird in the line. Whereas if you'd have been with Team Don, it would have been Howard and then the three of you. Like, I always wondered why you weren't just part of that, so you didn't have to do your own negotiating. Were you worried he wouldn't take care of you the way you could yourself?
It just didn't. It seemed weird. He'd be negotiating with himself. Huh? Don, it just didn't. My cousin.
How would Don be negotiating by?
You know what I love?
I know why. I know.
Wait a minute. The first statement is, I didn't think.
Yeah.
Now, all of his thoughts have led to this.
Yeah. All of his thoughts led to ultimately him being out of work.
And he's still standing by them.
Yeah, he loves it. He doesn't do any self-examination.
I know the answer.
Almost a pro ball player, and he said that an agent in baseball can't represent more than one player on a team.
Have you ever heard of that before? That's bullshit.
No.
Hey, there are agents who represent many.
There's some agents who have almost the entire league locked up.
Scott Boras has everybody.
Baseball, an agent can't represent more than a... Well, first of all, this isn't baseball. Baseball is like a monopoly. This is the real world.
Jackie's taking advice from a guy who almost got into baseball.
Yeah, right. My cousin. Did you hear what he said?
It was my cousin who told me this?
Wait, you got to hear this. My cousin. He's always getting advice from
my cousin almost got into baseball.
He's like...
He said...
He's like Richard's dad.
You can't say, hey, you can have mud on shortstop. More than one agent. Don, it just didn't... my cousin was almost a pro ball player, and he...
Almost.
Never got there.
Look where he gets advice.
But he knows.
He gets advice from his cousin, from his uncle. Never from a professional.
Yeah, none of these people have been in show business.
And by the way, his cousin's wrong. Maybe that's why he almost got into baseball.
He said that an agent in baseball can't represent more than one agent.
Maybe you should have called the baseball player and found out if that was true.
More than one player on the team. Because you can't say, hey, you can have mud on shortstop, but you got to take Jackie on first base. It's like...
Okay, give Howard the money we need, but you could take it out of Jackie's pocket.
Exactly.
Jackie's got a pocket.
Jackie has no pocket.
What I was going to say is that part of the conspiracy theory, which I'd heard several times, when we get drunk, and I'd be... Jackie'd be sitting there, and John would be sitting there, and I'd be sitting there, was that somehow... I got to remember this correctly, I want to get it right, that somehow... A big pot of money was given to Don to distribute any way he wanted to everybody.
Oh.
So that if he were part of Team Don, you were going to get the biggest part of the pot, and then everybody else was going to get a little bit less.
And he'd be the fourth to dip into the pot.
Let's say that's true. Which it's not, because Don would go in and negotiate. But forget that. I don't care who represents him. What do I give a shit? Just get someone professional.
It doesn't mean anything to you. You're not getting any money out of it.
No. So I was like, Jackie, just get someone other than yourself. I remember he used to walk in by himself and rub everyone the wrong way.
And he didn't realize that he had done that.
Right. An agent has a certain finesse where he's not going to sit there and, Jackie could have played the good guy while the agent was the bad guy.
Well, the problem was Jackie never got the right representation anyway.
Oh, here's a guy who says enough talking about Jackie. We've heard it. Okay. Maybe he's right. I love listening.
It means a lot to us.
We love it. Too much Jackie talk. Okay, fine. You want to hear how Jackie wasn't invited to my wedding? You haven't heard that before.
Oh, come on.
All right, wait.
Let's hear
Whether
this.
they rag on me or whatever they do, there is something going on. If it's 10 years, it's not a month ago. It's not 3 years ago. It's 10 years ago. That's a long time. And like you say, from the response, from the feedback I get from people, it's as fresh as it happened yesterday.
He does. He still is like emotional, and it comes up again and again.
But he can't be mad at me because
I'm not.
And Dominic Barber called me up and said, I don't understand, Howard. You didn't do anything wrong.
Is it some sort of grudge? Like, what? Is he just trying to prove that he's right and you're wrong?
I don't know. People say, I don't care, but so many people say, how could you be friends with a guy for 18 years and work side by side with him for 15 years, being half of his brain and not be invited to his wedding?
He was half of my brain.
You were half of it?
Yeah.
Oh, you never told me he was half of your brain.
Well, that's the other Jackie thing. What really drove him, he didn't feel he got any credit. I don't know. And he was constantly announcing which jokes he wrote. And like, first of all, you watch the Academy Awards when Billy Crystal would come out or something. He doesn't stop after each joke and go, by the way, the writer of that joke was. That's what Jackie wanted. Like, if Jackie thought up something, he wanted full credit on the air. That was what the laugh was. It was crazy.
He was half
my brain. So that means I only own half of my mind when Jackie's in the room.
How did you do this all without him for some reason?
I don't know. Maybe he should realize he's a writer on a show. He's not half my brain.
The other thing about him, and that's why I made the Rolling Stone analogy, Jackie wasn't here at the beginning. He didn't meet you and create a show.
Well, in his mind, he rewrote history. He made me successful.
You were already doing this.
I know.
And I said, listen, I got no problem with that, but I don't know if that was just, like, of course you wouldn't be invited, but at some point all bets should be off when it comes to a funeral or,
Jackie's nuts.
So he expected to be invited to the wedding?
I hadn't socialized with Jackie in 15 years. He doesn't know Beth at all. I hadn't seen him, I don't know. I'm not friendly with Jackie. I like Jackie a lot. We were good friends when he worked here, and I would hang out with him. But after he left, we didn't party.
I'm trying to think of anybody who would be equivalent to Jackie who was there.
No. I mean, I don't hang out with Jackie. I don't socialize with Jackie. Quite frankly, I don't socialize with a lot of people, but I'd see him at work.
No, I'm just someone you just never talk to again for a certain amount of time, and then you said, oh, come to my wedding.
Well, why would I do that?
That sounds reasonable to me.
Well, I guess if he's half my brain, he's half married to Beth.
What, did you turn the lights out on that half? It doesn't even speak to you anymore?
Unbelievable. Anyway, so he was on the...
half your brain. I mean, the things that... See, those are the things that upset me.
Then he had this other whole rap about...
Whenever he tries to take undue credit...
Oh, he never got enough.
This...
Never got enough.
It upsets me.
Yeah.
Because to say he's half your brain...
And I guess you, Fred, and Gary are on the other half.
But you have a whole brain.
Right.
You never needed another part.
No, he felt he was half of my brain.
Well, how the hell are we limping along on half a brain?
If we had him back, I'd have my whole brain back.
Thank God.
He's half my brain tumor.
That's right, he's cancer.
Yeah. He's a character. Oh, I mean, it's so great. Then he goes into a rant about Benji being brought in and he wasn't told. And
I've heard him talk about this before, like how, he hated Benji being, over his shoulder.
Yeah.
During one of the best of things, you were interviewed, and you talked about how Benji came in, and I don't know if threaten's the right word, but you were hurt or something that they had somebody doing your same
you know what
job
happened?
right
next to you. It had nothing to do with Benji, because the way that I got to do anything is, it's a show business or whatever business, you do what you want to do, and the kid wanted to write. But they just told me one day, hey, Benji's going to sit in with you, and... It's like, imagine if Robin's sitting there and there was somebody sitting next to Robin saying, no, do this.
Bad analogy, dude. Look, on shows there's many writers, but there's not multiple news people coming in and I mean, what did he think he was? He's a writer on the show. Fred's a writer on the show. And now Benji's a writer on the show.
Yeah, Fred had to accept that Jackie was there.
Jackie decided that I had enough writing. I didn't need any more.
Once you got him, you didn't need any more.
No.
Well, he was the traffic cop.
News story instead. I'll do this. And, of course, every news story they're going to give us is going to be great. But she already had it covered. Like, I already had the writing covered, and between me and Fred, we had it covered.
He had the writing covered.
Oh, my God.
Maybe I didn't think you had the writing covered, my half a brain.
No, see, half your brain knew.
Yeah. Maybe I didn't think it was enough. What do you care?
You know, you have two sides of your brain are fighting each other.
It was just weird that I'm sitting there. It's like, it's none of my business, not my show. Of course, if Howard wants another
writer... But you're half my brain. It sounds like you are. It is your show.
He had it covered.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not my say, but it was a little odd.
Well, wasn't Fred already doing that as well?
So, picture this. I'm sitting there, and Howard's talking, and he says something. I think it's something funny for him to say. And I write, as I'm writing it down, now I got to read. I write it, but I got to read what...
Wow. Wow, sorry, you're just
so you have to work. It's a job, and you have to work.
It's too much.
Wrote, then I'm reading what Benji wrote and decide which, so sometimes I just write something and put it up, and I wouldn't. It was too much. It was, if somebody hands you 3 cupcakes, you can only eat 1. You know what I mean? It's like it was too much. Very often, what Benji wrote was so funny and it was great, but it was overkill. I thought it was overkill.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
It was overkill for him.
It was too funny.
Too funny. Too much fun. Anyway, the Jackie saga on the Mutt Superfan Roundtable.
Wow.
And, I don't know, then there was a whole thing about Jackie, Nancy, the apology to Nancy. It was very entertaining, quite frankly, but it got me really worked up because it's upsetting me.
I'm fascinated by the workings of his mind.
It upsets me that he just is his own worst enemy. He'd still be sitting here if he just kind of mellowed out, figured out what was going on, and kind of saw his position in the right way. I said to him, listen, you're not the show, but you're an important part of the show, and you're being compensated. You got a great life. You're going to make a ton of dough for the next 5 years. Sign up.
He never enjoyed this for a moment.
Never.
It was a burden. It wasn't enough. He didn't get the acknowledgement he needed. So it's better that he's away.
Right. Oh, so silly. Mutt got everyone going, though. He's good, Mutt. I like that show. Superfan Roundtable. Still think it's one of the best shows on the channel.
Well, they should have Jackie every week.
Yeah, it's great. Always great. And then his marriage to Nancy because the bathtub incident with Jessica Hahn.
Oh, that ruined the marriage?
Well, no, they were supposed to go on vacation. Nancy said no because of what happened with Jessica Hahn.
Oh, they didn't make a vacation because of that?
Yeah.
My wife had absolutely nothing to do with what I said that day. We went to I called up our marriage therapist who was trying to save our marriage 10 minutes after we got married. And she said, if you want to save your marriage, we were supposed to leave the next day to go to Europe. Her sister was getting married in France, and we're going to Venice. We're going to have the greatest vacation in the world. And she said, I ain't going no fucking Europe. I ain't going to... And Emily was our marriage counselor, and she said, Jackie, do whatever you can do to get her on that plane, and 100 miles into the trip, this will all melt away. So I what can I do? And she was so pissed. I said, you know what? I'm just going to... I figured what we did was nothing. But Howard made it sound like there was a full-scale orgy going on in that. We were in the bathtub 10 seconds, right? But, his genius is to take something and make a, So she didn't hear it. So she heard the version of 20 of her friends
relaying the message.
So not only did Howard pile it on, then they piled. So, I had both thumbs up, Jessica Hahn's asshole, So she was so mad, so I figured the right thing to do is, if the word got around to her about that, if I go in and apologize, maybe there's cocksucking friend.
I like that he had to apologize on the air. Yeah, quite frankly, just to make it clear, Nancy was not the problem negotiating with Mel and Tom.
I don't know anything.
That was, it was, now that I think about it, it was Jackie going in himself.
I just remember that he was not liked after the very first negotiation.
Yes, that I remember. It went really, and I just said to him, it might be a good idea if you didn't do this yourself because they're getting the wrong impression of you. They don't like you. He's like, fuck everyone, I don't care. I was like, it's not good to have management feel that way. You might need professional representation. Would you like me to call my agent? That was all. I didn't even know if my agent would represent him, quite frankly. Because one thing I know about Don, if he doesn't like someone, he won't represent him. Because he doesn't want to...
And if he can't talk to a person,
right,
he's not going to represent him.
Yeah, he don't want the aggravation. All right, Bobo, you're up.
Hey, how you doing, Al?
Yes.
Let me weigh in on this. First of all, wouldn't you want to do what it takes to negotiate within the means of the show to keep everybody working together?
Well, I did say to him, you ought to check around in the industry and see what people are making. And
yeah, I mean, like you said, flying on a private jet, that just doesn't happen in the radio world.
It doesn't.
Okay?
Right.
And let me ask you something else, too. You think because he branded himself, that's the key word, as head writer, you think it went to his head?
Well, that was the other thing, too. He insisted on the title head writer, and like, the only other writer was Fred.
And then when Benji came along, he complained that there was too much to do being the head writer.
He didn't want to be, so I said, let Fred be the head writer. And even I said to Fred, I go, do you mind if Jackie calls himself head writer? Fred was like, no, if it keeps the show together, why not? But I mean, quite frankly, Fred is, if not as much responsible for the success of the show as any one of us. I mean, Fred was gracious about it. He goes, I don't care about a title. Well, he said, I don't care about a title. I don't even know what he's carrying on. But if he wants to be a head writer, fine.
That's great.
I think that Fred's a quiet guy.
Right.
And he's not much for rocking the boat. But I think that he was probably a little hurt by it, and he just didn't want to make waves.
Not hurt, annoyed.
Right.
Yeah. But Fred's like, hey, I'm a fucking writer.
Well, it was just so silly. I mean, how do you have a head writer?
It's two people.
If anything, I'm the head writer.
That's what I would always say. You are the head writer, and Jackie hands you what everybody else writes.
All right.
That's really a bold move to be working with one other person.
But that's Jackie.
I think I want to be the head writer.
And think nothing of it.
That's why
and he just arrived.
The title head writer.
And then when Benji wanted to come in, which would make it a bigger position, he rejected it.
Yeah.
But being head writer is irrelevant on a show like this because it's only two guys sitting here, basically. And but it was really important to him. He just had a chip on his shoulder that he felt absolutely negated as a human being if he didn't have this title. And he wanted everyone to know that he was better than, I guess, Fred.
I think that, in his mind, he was Larry David, your Jerry Seinfeld.
No, he wanted to be like Dick Van Dyke. And Fred was like Maury Amsterdam.
Right. But I'm just saying, in terms of what Jackie actually thought he was Larry David.
But here's a weird move about the head writer thing, too, Howard. That was a negotiation with the Channel 9 show for Jackie to get the physical credit when the credits rolled.
Yeah, because...
And then he just moved it over here, but we never said he was a head writer here.
He wanted Hollywood to recognize that he was head writer because he was going to be punching up scripts.
But there was no credit on the radio show that said you were head writer. He just took it from the TV show and moved it over.
It was fine.
Did he ever sit down with Fred and ask him about that?
No, listen, we didn't care because it was funny to us. I mean, the guy wanted to be head writer on our show. We were like, well, who else is here writing?
Yeah, I mean, since it really doesn't mean anything, go ahead and call him out.
I was like confused too because when we'd be back in my office writing stuff, I'd go, gee, am I supposed to check in with Jackie to make sure that to the head writer? I don't know. What do I do? All right, Bobo, thank you. There it is. Bobo needs to get on the air every day. Now he feels good.
He can have a good day. He can sit and watch the water and be happy.
Yes. Here's Jimmy who says we talk enough about Jackie. I'm sorry, we got sucked in, Jimmy. Jimmy, it's Mutt's fault he had him on Superfan Roundtable. It's not our fault.
We had tape.
Howard, you're not going to find a bigger super fan than me. I've been following you for 20-plus years. I tape the show every day, blah, blah, blah. Now, but I want to tell you something about Jackie. 2 weeks after that whole debacle when he left, right before he was going to leave the final time, I emailed him. And what wound up happening was, I said to him, Jackie, what the fuck are you thinking? I said something to that effect. And I said, you're on the best radio show, the most greatest marketing tool for your career. What are you thinking walking away from that show? And I couldn't believe it. His response simply was, great email. And he never said anything after that, which was, you don't know what the hell's going on in this guy's mind.
I thought you didn't want to talk about Jackie. You're talking about him more than I am.
No. Here's the thing. My wife, we're spending all this money on how...
Thank you.
All right. My wife got it. She said, why is he talking about this again? Frankly, I think it's awesome.
Oh, you see, because of you, I rushed through it.
No. I don't want you to rush it. I think it's awesome, and it's an honor to talk to you. We never call in, and I just
love you, Howard. Thank
all right.
you for all the years. Thank you, Howard. We love you.
That's my wife. I'm sorry.
Is she hot?
Yeah, she is. She's very good looking.
Very nice.
We're married 12 years. But we've been listening to you.
Thank you. All right, let's start up the Jackie conversation again. I thought I saw Jimmy's call said stop talking about Jackie. And I was like, oh, fuck. Well,
fire under my ass. She said, why is he talking about that again? Frankly, I think it's awesome whenever you talk about it. Can I ask you a question, though?
Yes.
First of all, I'm a big Artie fan as well. Do you guys, since Jackie left, I thought the show really changed, and then when Artie came in, now, do you guys find that it's, with nobody sitting in that chair, that it's a little harder for you to do your thing?
No. No, I like it. I like just this group that we have now. It's very copacetic, so to speak, and I don't know, I just feel real good about being here, and I don't know, I guess I don't feel like we need anybody. But it could happen again that we get somebody else in here.
But it's not hard to do the job.
No, the job's, fun. It's a nice groove. You get to sit here and, talk and do some funny stuff.
I think the interplay between you and Robin is a lot more into it since Artie left. And we love
Absolutely. Artie. I love Artie, too.
Well, yeah, we've seen Artie so many times, at his comedy shows up here in Boston, but it's just, it's a totally different vibe. And by the way, Robin, I saw you at Fenway Park when you were in that pedicab.
All right, Jimmy, I got to go. It's enough.
What?
You were in the pedicab. I remember that one. Jimmy, thank you, though, and thank your wife. Very nice words. Anyway, Jackie was on Mutt Show. And in it, I was trying to push Don Buchwald on him. Tom Chiusano, he's still waiting for Tom's call.
Nobody called.
Nobody called him. Well, just to get, let's set this straight once and for all. Here is my version. They called him and said it's a final offer. It had gone on and on and on. And then he thought it was still going on. Like, in other words,
he decided he was going to not come in.
Right.
And they said, well, that'll be it.
Yeah. 2 months later, Jackie woke up and realized he had no job and said, okay, I'll take my job back. And we said, there's no job. I think he was waiting for a final offer. He decided not to sign with Don Buchwald because in baseball, his cousin almost got into baseball and heard that agents can't represent more than one player on the team. That was the advice he got from his cousin, who's almost a baseball player. He was almost a baseball.
And just, I love how with authority he says he took the advice of a cousin who was almost in baseball.
He sounds
that's reasonable.
He sounds proud of that. Like, maybe check that out.
Why are you talking to that cousin?
And on top of everything we learned from Mutt Show, he was upset that he was invited to my wedding, which is even more delusional.
That's a surprise, because I don't think that had ever been brought up before.
I make a Christmas party every year. I've invited Jackie because he works on the channel.
And
Jackie,
then he's incredibly uncomfortable.
I know he
to be around the whole time he's there.
And I see him at the Christmas party. He goes, "Thank you for inviting me. I thought you didn't even want me. I can't even believe I'm invited." I go, "You work on the channels. Of course you're invited." I didn't think you wanted me the whole time. I go, well, obviously I want you. You're here. Like it was a mistake that I invited him.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you invited me. I didn't think you were going to invite me.
Robin, I ever tell you about the time I got a stock tip from my cousin who works at an auto body shop, but he was almost a stockbroker? I mean, it's crazy. He was almost a stockbroker. You're not kidding. He almost took the test. There was a lot of people giving Jackie advice who shouldn't have been.
Right.
The only person he should have listened to was me. He would have done very well in life. He would have done exceptionally well if he took my advice. I wasn't looking to screw him, and I think he always had this attitude that I was looking to screw him. Somehow I was behind the machinations of screwing Jackie.
Well, why would you do that?
I was only trying to make his life better. I begged him. I said, Jackie, you've got a great life. Why would you let this explode? Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. You'll pay. I'll leave the show. Your whole career will go away.
But, Howard, the other thing
if he was real honest, he'd
crazy
admit.
about this is that he had left many times before.
Yep.
And nothing happened.
Right.
So why did he think that he was going to go on to some career?
I don't know. He always did. He even once said to me, I believe, and I don't know if I have it exactly right, but it was that, if I wasn't here, my career would have been huge.
Right.
like he sacrificed a lot. Like he could have been his own Jackie the Joke Man Martling without me, and he basically was living under my shadow, and if he had just gone off on his own, who knows what would have happened.
Somehow or other, people weren't hiring him because he was on this show.
Yeah. Oh, that was the other thing. They won't let me on the roast. I go, why is that? Well, honestly, I think it's because I work here. Yeah. You mean you're so funny, but they're keeping you off the roast because you work? I would think putting you on the roast would be advantageous if you're so funny. And working here, why would comedians be against you if you work here? Well, I think some people at the Friars Club, you make fun of them. And they're going to keep me off the dais. Because... And I'd sit there and I'd roll my eyes because I go, you know what? He's not that funny on the fucking roast. That's why they're not having him on. We did a roast on Channel 9. He accused me of fixing the audience not to laugh at him.
For years. I don't think he ever believed that we didn't.
Yeah. I didn't get one laugh. I know what you did. Why don't you admit it?
You all got together and you told everybody not to laugh.
I thought I was losing my mind with this guy. This is what I had to deal with. Came back and he was like all upset. I know what you did. Gary got laughs. Everyone there got laughs. Richard Simmons got laughs. I mean, everyone. He got up. It was crickets. And he's a professional comedian.
Oh, my goodness. That was one of the greatest episodes of a comedian dying on stage ever.
And he goes, I know what you did. You sabotaged my performance. You made it so the audience wouldn't laugh.
Well, he was devastated that day, but then he came back in on Monday and he said, all right, you can admit it. We were like, admit what?
Yeah, I mean, that's how he got through it. I was Satan. I was always plotting against him. I go, what are you saying, Jackie? I mean, I didn't get one laugh. I know you rigged the audience. I said, I don't know how to tell you I didn't do anything. No, I know what you did.
You could go ahead and tell me.
And the funny part would be letting me in on the joke.
Wow.
Oh, my God. I had it. I had it.
But there were other times that he had decided to leave, and he would send out whatever that packet was.
Yeah.
He would send to people he had met on the show.
Right. He would send to Andrew Dice Clay or Sam Kinison a package saying he's now ready to write for them.
Right.
And then
he's going to be available.
I don't know, one of them called me Sam or Dice and go, hey, well, what is this? We got this package from Jackie. I go, what package? They go, well, he says he's ready to write for us. I go, it's fine with me. I don't care who he writes for. Go nuts. Go write. I just wanted you to know.
And then he had the great line that, well, Jackie, what are you going to do? When we would talk to him about this on the, I could go punch up scripts.
Where? Who's looking for him to punch up a script? Well, I'll be like Babalu Mandel. He locked into that name. Yeah. I go, Babalu Mandel writes his own movie scripts, and sometimes they call him in to write. You don't write movie scripts. No, I could do it. But you've never written one. I know I could do it. Hey, Andrew.
Hello, Howard.
Hey, now.
Hey, now. I was just wondering, why do you keep giving Jackie so many chances? I mean, it looks like he drove you nuts.
You know what? I gave him a lot of chances. I'll tell you this. I genuinely thought he was super talented, and also, I really liked the guy. I mean, there was something very simpatico between us, and I liked him. And I really listen, I've improved a lot in my mental health. Back then, I kind of thought, oh, my God. He's his own self. He's his own worst enemy. I'm going to save him. I'm going to get through to him because I know what he's walking away from. It was almost like watching a guy commit suicide. And I'd say to myself, if you saw a guy committing suicide, would you jump in and try and help, or would you let him kill himself? And ultimately, I'd always jump in and try and say, life's worth living.
Yeah, but Jackie was the kind of guy who would take you down with him.
Yeah, that's true. If he was drowning, he'd pull you down and go, "You're going to." But I didn't see it at the time. I just saw it as like, you know what? He's a talented guy. He's a nice guy. I enjoy his vibe. You know, we had many good times together. And I said, this guy, I really thought of him as a friend. And I said, you know, I have a friend who's a little bit out of it. He doesn't understand that he's got something good going. And, you know, my life, I've always learned if you have something good, really, before you let it go, make sure you understand what you're giving up.
Well, you say that many times to actors who come in here who, you know, have hit shows. Don't leave, milk it, run the whole game.
And
you scream about Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, and I said it about Conan O'Brien. You know that Ashton Kutcher in 2.5 Men is doing better than when Charlie Sheen was on it?
Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Well, whether you understand it or not,
that's what's happening.
That's what is happening. And so Charlie Sheen, I'm sure he's sitting at home today going, what the fuck did I do?
Well, they just announced that, was it FX or one of those?
Yeah, he's going to have a new show.
Picked up this new show, but whether that will work
is a big question mark. And he probably says to himself, I actually like Chuck Lorre. I don't know why the guy created a hit show.
I had a great thing going there.
Chuck Lorre sat there and wrote all week while I sat around and had party. I had the cushiest job in the business. The cush. You understand? So I used to look at Jackie and I'd say, I'm going to get through to this guy. I'm going to put my brain in his head. You know, he says he owns half my brain. I'm going to give him half of my brain and go, Jackie, I'm a guy who's been in radio a long time. I've struggled with it. I know what it is to make a living in it. We've got a great situation. You've got Mel Karmazin who's willing to pay you. I mean, he had no idea what he had. I said, you don't know. An opportunity like this doesn't come along all the time. You've got something good. Go with it. Yeah, and it was like watching a guy. You know, if I had been in the room with Artie when he tried to commit suicide, I would have tried to stop him.
Right.
And the same with Jackie. He was committing suicide. I said, I looked at him. I took him on that plane. I said, Jackie, you're eating steak. You know, Jackie loved it.
Oh, my God. Did he love room service?
I said, you're on a plane. You got room service. You're in the best hotels.
Remember the time we walked in and he had ordered 2 of everything?
You're making a bunch of dough. I see over there you got a newspaper. You're checking your stocks. You're a gentleman. I said, you're hanging around with a bunch of friends who want to suck you down with them. You're listening to too many people. Listen to me. I'm your friend. You got to go say, you're just trying to get more for yourself. You're trying to trick me. I was the enemy. And I wanted to say to him, you're wrong. You don't understand what I'm saying. I care about you. No, you don't. You're just letting my cousin almost got into baseball. No, he doesn't. Yeah.
You know, Jason came to me while you were talking, and you were talking about the roast before. And Jason said, you know, I've always heard Howard talk about the roast, but I've never heard it wasn't that bad. So J.D. pulled it, and I listened to the first 4 jokes, and it's funny because I remember the day, again, I don't think we'll get too far into it, but I remember the day, it was Jackie's big moment.
Right.
And
because he was a roast expert.
And I said to Jason, I remember that I went out, I got a book of bad, sticky jokes, and that was going to be my route. I'm going to do bad, sticky jokes. And
you got laughs.
You got great laughs.
I got laughs because there was no expectation. Jackie did almost my exact jokes.
Right.
But Jackie was supposed to be a very comedian. I don't even want to hear it, but I listened to it, and it is fucking funny. It's like Gary Page 2.
Is this where I supposedly rigged the audience?
Yes. But I'm telling you that, like, there were too many people there for us to tell for it to be that silent.
I know, it was a room full of people.
Howard, here's a man who takes credit for everything you say, yet the only thing funny about him is his belly button.
So true.
Please welcome the very
that was a good line. So far, so good.
Everything's
going very upset Jackie, the joke man, Martin.
Yeah, let's see this. All right, this is the big moment.
I remember sitting there on that day thinking, if he bombs, my life's going to be hell.
But who would have expected him to bomb?
And I was sitting there going, I better try and interject a few things to make it funny.
Look, you can't get out of the chair. Let me see what happens now.
Shut up.
This is his big moment. Now it's your show.
This is Jackie Uncensored.
Yeah, we'll see how funny this is, Robin.
Jackie Uncensored and unedited.
All right, give him a chance.
Stereo morons right here.
Go ahead, all right.
8 years I've waited to call you Big Bird to your face, you gawky bastard.
All right, go ahead.
You're not going to laugh at one thing I say.
No, that's right.
We'll laugh when they laugh.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's the deal. Okay, Howard.
Go ahead, get out all your anger.
Howard Stern,
That's good.
You take away his looks, his body, his charm, and his personality, and what have you got? Howard Stern. Gary laughed at that.
Gary.
People say to me, Jackie, how can Howard act like such a jerk? It's simple, he's not acting. Oh, this is
good. Now you realize
I'm doing so much better than Henny, but at least he was old.
At least now you realize that you need me.
Write me a joke.
That's what you realize. You need me.
I absolutely got to have you.
Continue with your act.
I admit that Howard does work hard. He had to search far and wide to find a producer whose face he could make fun of.
All right, anyway, it's painful. But I listen.
But you remember he walked off the show on Monday.
Yes.
That was another.
Why did he walk off?
Because we would never admit.
We wouldn't admit that we rigged the audience.
And he walked off?
He said, I need a mental health day. Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah.
He goes, Howard, admit it. You go, I'm not going to admit it because it didn't happen. He was very upset, so he left.
He left the show.
He left the show.
Took a day.
Mental health day.
Good Lord.
You put up with a lot of shit.
I did.
And you're sitting there going, God, I put up with a lot of shit.
What about my mental health? It was such an elaborate thing that we rigged him first with bad jokes, then we rigged the audience.
Well, how could we do that? Because he did his own material.
We
so
hypnotized
couldn't
him.
get in there.
I hypnotized him. He was the Manchurian comedian. Come on. Oh, my goodness. Well, anyway, Mutt did a good job.